My gods, the key stands before you. The time to purge has come. Hello everyone and welcome to the Animezilia, and thank you for joining me as we talk about episode 12 of the God of High School anime series. Now, this episode for me was personally mediocre. I personally did not enjoy this episode that much. I think most of that, though, was due to the fact that plot regression with this series has been very, very slow. Now, I understand that this series, The God of High School, is a long and drawn-out plot when it comes to the webtoon series. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I understand that completely. I've read the webtoon series, and you go chapter by chapter by chapter without really understanding what's actually happening. But when you're looking at an anime series, and you're at episode 12 in a 13-episode series, then you kind of need to understand what's actually happening. And I find that at the moment in time, this episode did not help me, personally, understand what is actually going on. It just seems very chaotic, and you have Nox on one side trying to establish themselves as like a main villain, which actually, they don't actually give much of a reason as to why they're doing things, apart from they just want the world destroyed. And to me, that reeks of bad villain. You've got Mr. Park kind of giving off lots of stuff and giving off hints about being a bit shady and all sorts throughout the entire series. And yet, we still don't know anything about what he's going through. I just kind of wish that 12 episodes in, we had a bit more of an understanding. Now again, it's a long drawn out series. If this was like a Hunter x Hunter type of length series, where we knew it wasn't going to be 13 episodes, I would be a bit more forgiving. But obviously, I'm not going to criticize it too much on this part, because plot is something that I really do like. And there are also plenty of other anime shows out there that kind of have episodes where the plot just gets to a confusing level, where your enjoyment just kind of dips. And for me, that was my main issue. My enjoyment dipped because I just didn't understand anything that was going on when looking at it with fresh eyes. And I've seen a lot of comments on this episode saying that they don't actually understand themselves what on earth is actually happening. However, let's move away from that. I guess the main focus of this episode was to give us as the audience more information / a better understanding of Tyke's character. And they kind of did that-ish with that whole being raised with a mindset that you have to be a winner, and that winners are those who can already see their victory and have the skills and the assets beforehand. And they are also people that would do anything for that victory to become a reality. And he was told that people like his mother was a loser, and he shouldn't be a loser like that because he's going to be inheriting everything from this old guy. This old guy literally, I think, just kind of bought him because they said something about a deposit already being paid or something. Anyway, we get a little bit of information, but we still don't get a lot. Maybe we'll get a bit more next episode. Honestly, I really hope we don't, because, alright, Tyke is a character for me that I think is quite badass. I think he's a cool character in terms of just showing off his hype and his actions and what he does. But honestly, that backstory, it felt kind of naff and kind of weak. But hey, the animation was really good. I loved the halfway kind of card clips that we get given. These are always great in the episodes, but this episode especially with Park and Marbone, I think looked really clean. Looked really nice. The Sacred Palace was a bit disappointing as we got no explanation about the Sacred Palace. Like in the webtoon version, this is meant to be underneath, like the arena. There was meant to be another member of the Six kind of lurking within that palace. We didn't get any hints or anything about that, which I thought was a bit disappointing. And from the webtoon series version, like comparing the two, I like the way they explored and like they build up this holy palace area underneath the whole arena in the webtoon series. So I think the webtoon did it a lot better on that front. This anime adaptation of the Sacred Palace, it was a bit too rushed. We had characters that I thought were going to appear, but they never did. Like, for example, Tyke's teammates. In the webtoon series, these actually appeared in the Holy Palace. But this episode, they were nowhere to be seen. We got like a 2-minute clip with one of Tyke's teammates where they kissed Dawe, and then we've not seen them again at all. why introduce them if they're not going to bring them back in? The music throughout this episode was okay. Again, back to the palace. I thought that the music in the Sacred Palace was a little bit too loud / not necessary, especially during the talk between Mori and Ilipo. When Ilipo was kind of like very weakly talking to Mori about kind of having the key and going to take down Tyke, you know, I found the music was a bit too overpowering and a bit too loud for that kind of part. I could just about hear what Ilipo was saying, but again, I felt like the music was taking priority over what the dialogue was actually being spoken. It should be the other way around. Okay, so another positive. Seeing the 6 fight was pretty cool, and they gave a small spotlight to that magician of the 6, who was basically out for revenge, because his grandson got killed. And he kind of gets revenge, but at the same time he fails because Marbone is still standing. You know, the leader of Nox is still standing, even though he looks like his clothes have been torn off. And Tyke is still alive. Now, I would imagine that the revenge that this guy wanted to kind of exact should have been on Tyke's character, because Tyke is the one who put them in hospital, the one who embarrassed his grandson, the one who actually killed his grandson. Instead, he kind of goes after Nox and, you know, does that kind of thing, seemingly takes down one of the gods that kind of comes into play, which seemed like a really big deal, and it was, for like a human to take down a god. So that, again, pretty decent, good spotlight on that. And he teleports everyone away, seemingly saving them. So, I mean, he does get a spotlight, so that is a positive thing. Again, I wish there was a little bit more time brought onto it. This series, I reckon, should have been a 24 episode at the least kind of series, so that they can easily explain everything and lay everything out. Overall though, this episode was one of the weaker episodes when I'm looking at it from a personal point of view. But that being said, I'm hopeful that this episode is more of a setup episode for grander things to finally come in episode 13, making me view this episode in a more positive light once episode 13 has been watched. However, I'm just not that excited. You know, after watching this episode, I don't get filled up with the hype and the excitement that I want to go into episode 13. I finished this kind of going, do I really want to continue this series? Like, really? And I know I'm being a bit critical, I really am, and I understand that, but at the same time, I'm giving you my personal thoughts on the episode, and I think it was very, very weak. Especially when you think about episodes like 10 plus, when you're looking towards the end of a series, should be very climactic, very good, very well thought out. I just think they tried to fit too much. I think they tried to fit too much into 13 episodes, and I don't think it worked out very well. I really don't. If you feel differently though, then, you know, by all means feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And apologies if this video is a little bit shorter than my other ones. Again, I just couldn't find a lot to talk about because it was a very sort of action-packed episode. There was a lot of fighting going on. There was a lot of kind of chasing the key, which, okay, fine. There was that little bit of a Sacred Palace kind of thing, but there was nothing of great value that happened. It was just a bit of clashing, and it was just kind of building up for that, oh no, Tyke's got the key inside him, he's now like this godlike creature, what are we going to do? And honestly, we know Tyke's strong. We know that Nox is strong from what we've seen, although we've only seen like 3 members of Nox. And honestly, I just struggle to kind of want to go on. But at this moment in time, I am going to give you the next episode, so don't you worry about that. Hopefully episode 13 is going to perk me right up and prove me wrong and say, yes, this series was a good series. It has been good throughout, don't get me wrong. I really have been enjoying this. It's just this episode, episode 12, was very, very lackluster. Again, let me know your thoughts if you think differently or if you feel the same. Or let me know what you would have done differently. Do you agree that it's very fast-paced and they should have kind of lengthened it a bit more and flushed out those finer details? But yeah, that being said, those are my thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that like button. You can dislike if you don't agree with me. It really doesn't really matter. But hey, Let me know why you don't disagree, or why you disagree with me, if that's possible for you. However, that being said, I hope you have an amazing day. Subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me. And until next time, alligator, matane, goodbye.